Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
Yes, welcome in. We got our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department for some speculation, a little information, and some pontification about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Cheers to that. What are we drinking there today, boys? Just straight black coffee? Looks like Dukes has a little something mixed in there.
Iced coffee.
Iced coffee? Okay.
It's fine. Yeah, a little cream. No liquid
$8
sugar
for it.
Mm-hmm. Rocking just plain old water here.
Yeah,
Macadac. I want to play. So you've become pretty tight with old Brian Windhorst over the years. He's been a regular on your Channel 5 hits that you do and the old Scoop podcast. So Windy went on his own podcast. Windy with his little windy fingers.
The Hoop Collective.
The Hoop Collective. It's a good pod. So this is Windy in a hotel room. And this is like 45 seconds of his educated speculation on where the KD Timberwolves stuff is at right now. KD Watch 2025.
We're in the very thick of it with this Kevin Durant thing. And so I don't know what's going to happen by the time this comes out, but while we're talking about this on Tuesday afternoon, the Minnesota Timberwolves have a very interesting situation sitting in their laps, okay? I'm not saying anything definitive, to be clear. I'm not reporting this. But my feel is that if the Timberwolves wanted it, they could probably get a trade for Durant done, okay? The question is, and Durant has made it very clear that he has not got the Wolves on his list, okay? It has practically been posted on social media. It's been posted on social media by Shams, essentially, but it might as well have been posted on social media by Durant. If you're Minnesota, do you trade for a player who doesn't want to be there?
I'll start with Dukes on this question. We go around the room here. But why do you think Kevin Durant has surveyed 5 or 6 teams and has apparently said, no, I don't want to play? I know state income tax, I think that's overblown. Such a small percentage of his net worth. If you want to win a championship, wouldn't Minnesota be on your list? Like, what do you make of this latest development here, Dukes?
Well, if you're KD, if you end up in Houston or San Antonio, maybe even Miami, you can, at least in your mind, elevate that franchise high enough where you can win a championship. Sure. Could it happen here with Ant? Absolutely. But it's not like it's here or bust. I'm not buying the weather angle either. Sure, I guess all things considered, you'd rather be in Texas or Florida. But he played in Brooklyn. He played in Seattle. He's from the D.C., Baltimore area. It's not like he's a Florida guy all the way through. Like, I'm not buying the weather thing. What's interesting is, via Rich Kleiman, the Wolves were led to believe during the winter when they had dialogue with Phoenix that KD would welcome a trade here. So the question is, what has changed from early February until now, mid-June? I can't necessarily get an exact read on it. I will tell you, you run the question by a number of league people, and they just say KD's a different cat.
Yeah.
He just is. He really is. And hey, first ballot Hall of Famer, an all-time player. Nobody can debate that. But a unique personality. Put it that way. But a lot of people can't exactly figure out like the exact reason why he wouldn't welcome a trade here. Now, that being said, I will tell you, texting with somebody who knows some stuff. So Windy Tuesday afternoon saying, hey, if the Wolves want to get a deal done, he feels like they can get a deal done. Okay, well, let's fast forward now about 12 to 14 hours. My understanding is the Wolves are still in this thing. It's not like the Wolves have said, okay, KD doesn't want to be here. Uncle Mercy, we give up. My understanding here on Thursday morning, so even more than that, right? I guess what would the math be? Tuesday afternoon to Thursday morning, 24 to 28 hours later, that the Wolves are still in the KD mix. That, hey, Kawhi Leonard went to Toronto, maybe didn't want to be there. A lot of things can change. Plus, hey, the idea of KD for 1 year for his age 37 season, not having to commit 2 years, $112 million on an extension for his ages 38 and 39 seasons is not the end of the world, depending on what you're giving up. But I'm just telling you, here on Thursday morning, texting with somebody that is pretty darn good. That's why I'm expressing this right now. the Wolves are still in the KD mix.
So KD has no trade protection. So he can be traded wherever the Suns want. His wishes be damned. My guess is what's changed, Dukes, is this. At the deadline, first of all, the potential buyers were probably not nearly as plentiful. Like, I'm guessing the Spurs didn't come along and the Rockets, like some of them might have, but not all. He was almost traded, or it sounds like the Suns had a trade with Golden State worked out. KD actually worked to kill that trade with no protection. I think what's changed is this. There is now a far wider variety of teams with which he can land. He's trying to pick his team without having the protection to kill the deal. Like, do I think that if he gets traded here, he's not going to show up, pull a, I'm going to hold out? No. I don't think that
he would show up. Now, he could be a coach killer, Judd.
Well, no, that's true too. And
but
that has
does
to
he
be
show up and play?
guarded against.
Yeah, absolutely shows up and play.
But Dukes, what I think changed here is he now has more of a bountiful field of teams for which he can choose. At the trade deadline, he didn't, and he also killed the one trade that I think he really didn't want. I think that's what's changed.
Okay, well, that's fair. But if you're the Phoenix Suns, if you're Brian Gregory now running that front office,
yep.
Why the bleep do you care about KD's feeling? You
don't.
You are seeking the best possible deal. And so far, San Antonio isn't putting its best assets on the table. Is Houston, to me, if you can get Jabari Smith Jr.,
I agree with you.
I think I'd be okay with that, plus more from Houston. But, to me, if you can get Jabari Smith Jr., sign me up for that deal. Okay, but who are the Wolves willing to offer? Okay, it's one of the big money guys, Gobert or Randall. I've not heard of Terrence Shannon Jr. inclusion. The Rob Dillingham buzz, yeah, I've heard that. How badly do the Suns want Rob Dillingham? Plus, is Dante DiVincenzo a part of the package? To me, Dante is still pretty darn valuable. At that money, I get it. We did not see Dante of 2 years ago with the Knicks. I understand that, but I would still bet on Dante over the next couple years. So what exactly is Phoenix seeking? And or the 17th pick. So how much do you value the 17th pick next Wednesday? These are all questions, if you're Brian Gregory, you're weighing. But I'm just telling you, my own opinion, if you can get Jabari Smith Jr., I would get a deal done with the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, there's another angle here, like on the 1 year deal front. So let's say it's Rudy and DiVincenzo and another piece. And you bring in KD and you don't do the extension. What's interesting is Gobert's 3 years come off the books. KD's 1 year comes off the books. And DiVincenzo, it's a very team-friendly contract, but Miami or Phoenix apparently loved him coming out of the draft, and all those front office people might be wiped out, but $12 million, that comes out the books. So now there might be a Naz Reid extension baked in here somewhere, but your cap sheet for 2026-27, not including a Naz Reid extension, if my math is right here, and you'd only have like a handful of players under contract, it would be Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, maybe Naz Reid, but not counting him yet. Dillingham under contract, Terrence Shannon Jr., Leonard Miller, Jalen Clark. You have to come to terms on a new deal with, but you're only under contract like $87 million under contract. The salary cap's going to be probably $100. I mean, so is there something to be said for you do it and you just completely clear your cap sheet for 2026-27, not doing the KD extension?
Okay, so this is then presuming that Julius Randle exercises his player option, then his contract expires.
Yeah.
Summer of 26, because
let's say Naz comes
summer
back
of
at 25.
That free agent class looks pretty good right now. Now, some extensions will come into play. 6 months from now, the summer of 26 free agent class may not be as plentiful as it is right now. Plus, like half the league or a good portion of the league is well positioned to have cap space summer of 26. So are you able to get players to come here? But yeah, what's the Naz Reid extension? Let's say he's at like 23 to 24 million a year. How does that mess with your cap sheet? Summer of 26, a lot of variables in play. Plus, I'm telling you, I do think there's some interest, depending on how things shake out here, in getting Julius Randle to agree to a contract extension.
Really? Like a
now,
3 year?
tango.
Yeah.
And hey, He's eligible for what, 4 years up to like 120 million. Like, to me, you'd be nuts to commit that sort of term plus money to Julius Randle. But I'm telling you, like Finch, there's a healthy opinion. And Randle, there's a genuineness. Like, he really has embraced being here. And he's bounced around enough. Like, again, it may not be a real easy negotiation, but I'm just saying there's some interest there in a contract extension.
So let's say the trade is Gobert, DiVincenzo, Dillingham, and the first round pick for 1 year of KD. So he's not going to sign here, but he's going to play here. He needs to fulfill his contract.
I'm out.
Would you take your? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Would you? What's the price? What's the price point? So restructure my trade. What's the price point at which, if I tell you odds are very good that you're going to get a 1 year run, Ant KD? What's the price point, and do you do it if it's a reasonable price point? So he's going to leave, though.
Okay, yeah, and you can't aggregate the salaries until later, so this is something that can be, I guess, verbally agreed to now, but can't truly be executed for a little bit of time. But okay, let's go on that idea. I guess it depends on how bullish you are on Dillingham. Like, that's a lot to give up for 1 year.
You're the GM. KD. You tell me.
I am not doing all of that.
I'm with Dukes.
Can I sell you on 17, but I get to retain Dillingham?
That's the thing. Choose your young asset if you're the Suns. Maybe, because that's the thing. It's like Dillingham.
And does that money work? By the way, so we're throwing this out. Does that money work?
Yeah, I mean, so after it works in July. It does. So right now, this is why it's complicated, because now these teams are still in the second apron until July. So any deal involving the Wolves and the Suns and Kevin Durant would almost have to be like the Jimmy Butler deal from a few years ago, where it's like, all right, we're not gonna actually put this through until the league year in July. And so,
and a multi-team deal. I mean, the Nets team is legit. Trust me. There's been dialogue with the Brooklyn Nets about involving them in this transaction.
Yeah, but that's the thing. There's so many. Think about being Tim Connolly right now, and all the spinning plates. Julius Randle, is he opting in? Are they going to do an extension? Is he opting out? Naz Reid probably opting out, but you're not going to know until like next week. Kevin Durant, does he want to be? You're literally trying to figure out. The Suns, it sounds like, are saying, you know what? The Wolves actually have the most appealing option right now in a trade. And the Wolves are trying to figure out is he going to come in here and just like be a malcontent and be kind of a passive aggressive coach killer? I think if he's fully engaged, I'm in on like
you should be
the experiment.
Yes, but if he's not fully engaged, right? Because he absolutely has the capability of being a coach killer.
Yeah,
like I would. Because I'm a Chris Finch fan, right? In many ways, a Chris Finch apologist. I'd be praying for Chris Finch. Yeah. That could be a really slippery slope to navigate if KD isn't all in. Like, you need to have some assurance, even without an extension, that, okay, KD is going to position himself to have a really good year, and, okay, then he's that much more appealing summer of 26 free agency, even though he would be, regardless, just have a good year. And, hey, somebody will pay you for your ages 38 and 39 seasons later on.
But if he's put with a team that is odds are going to be successful with a great player, potentially like Ant, and they could be a great pair together, I would think that with the salary cap situation we talked about a year from now, if you're KD, you could bet on yourself and then go sign with the Spurs, the Rockets. So if you come here, I think the selling point here is, look, you're going to be put into a situation at 37 where you can 100% succeed and be a huge part. Your value is going to be driven up. And like right now, do you want to go play for the Brooklyn Nets? Because nobody else has cap room. A year from now, it's going to be the Wild West. So I actually do think if you sat down with KD and his representation, there is a case to make if you're willing to do 1 year and that's it, and you pretty much know he's going to leave you.
I think there are some serious questions to ask about KD, ages 38 and 39. Like, I feel pretty good about him next year.
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of player he'll be at age 38 after more wear and tear. Are these shooting numbers going to remain the same? I don't know. 1 year of KD, sign me up. And I think you could sell me on Gobert, DiVincenzo plus one young asset, not two, for 1 year of KD, because we've discussed this. Yes, Gobert raises the floor regular season, but I've long wondered if there's a ceiling that you're capped at with Gobert in the playoffs playing 28 to 32 or more minutes per game. So you can sell me on that idea. And hey, the buzz is the Suns won a center. Now, to me, it's an adjustment. Like, if the Suns think automatically it's going to click with Gobert, I think it takes a while for his teammates to adjust to playing with him. So I don't know exactly what Phoenix's goals are for the 25-26 season. Are they aiming to be a top 8 team, a playoff team? Or are they willing to take a little bit of a step backwards? And if they are, do you really want Rudy Gobert? So I still have all sorts of questions, but I'm telling you, like KD, age 38, I don't know, Phil. I pause. I really do.
It's another part of this that we've kind of hit on here with like the Dillingham stuff is you've got to figure out what is the value internally and in a trade of Dillingham, who was the number 8 overall pick last year. And it wasn't like he was a disaster on the court. He just didn't crack the rotation for a Western Conference Finals team. Terrence Shannon Jr., Jalen Clark. If you were to trade away a piece or two from that group, how much do you? Because then you're really putting it on Jalen Clark and Terrence Shannon. But whatever they do, I want to see 2 of the 3 of those guys, or maybe all 3, playing a bunch of minutes around Anthony Edwards and Jade McDaniels and company.
Well, I'll tell you this much.
I think they can be really good, all 3 of those players.
Oh, I think they can be too. So we were at an event on Tuesday with Jalen Clark. For what it's worth, he told us, hey, and he's back here already ramping up his summer activity, but a heavy emphasis on ball handling, finishing at the rim, because in his words, I absolutely anticipate playing a lot more minutes next season. So is that Jalen opining that, or was that told to him at some point, exit interview, some other time? But Jalen Clark is absolutely anticipating playing more minutes next year, which makes logical sense because for a long time we've thought Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to end up elsewhere. So if Nickeil goes, that elevates Jalen, that elevates Terrence Shannon Jr., who, a reminder, is older than Anthony Edwards. And we saw, like, Terrence Shannon Jr. is ready to play 20-something minutes a night next year. There is no learning curve there. He is absolutely ready. Body-wise, energy-wise, the whole package. Terrence Shannon Jr. is absolutely a rotational player on a good team. So we know Terrence Shannon Jr. is going to play pretty good minutes next year. And I'll continue to say, I've not heard one bit of information connecting Terrence Shannon Jr. to Phoenix. I'm not sure the Wolves would do that, right? If there's a cutoff point, you're only going to go so much in, especially without a KD longer-term commitment. I've not heard of the Wolves including Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yeah. Boys, we'll get to a couple more Wolves-related items here with our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson. A reminder that the annual Score North Summer Auction begins tomorrow at scorenorth.com. That's SKORnorth.com. Keyword auction to view and bid on a bunch of awesome items. You can save up to 70% off retail prices. Tens of thousands of dollars in items up for grabs here, including an all-inclusive spa getaway at Buffalo Ridge Resort and Spa. Could be a nice, relaxing little off-season thing for Jalen Clark. It'd be great after Summer League. Automotive detailing from Schoonover Body Works. Auto polish, wax, and detail from Schoonover. Aquatic weed removal from Holy Divers. A 40-foot shipping container. What Will Dex would do with a 40-foot shipping container? Maybe some shady activities. But all of it is available, and there's much more at scorenorth.com, keyword auction. So on the ownership front, real quick here. So, and Dukes, maybe you can color in more here too, but this has been like a 4-month process since the announcement came down that, or 5-month or whatever process, that A-Rod and Laurie won the arbitration battle. But I was told very reliably this week that A-Rod and Laurie have already met earlier this week with NBA league officials and other owners just to kind of, it's like the feel them out financial meetings and just, they're kind of the last poking and prodding. And those meetings, I'm told, went very smoothly. And the final vote among the owners is expected to happen either by the end of this week or maybe early next week. So that'll be a $1.5 billion sale price, 4 years in the making, on a franchise that's now valued at $3 billion in a league that saw the Lakers just sell for $10 billion yesterday. Crazy.
With the Bus family retaining 15% ownership,
Right.
with Jeannie Buss remaining the governor.
It's wild.
So pretty darn good deal for the Buss family. I imagine that was a pretty easy vote for the Buss children. They took a vote, right? It had to be majority, but easy vote to say, yes, we will accept.
Yeah, can still be involved. It's great.
Yeah, a lot changes in 4 years, right? That in 2021, still some COVID hangover. Ant wasn't a superstar. Things change, right? But still, yes, you look back at 4 years ago, $1.5 billion. What a sweetheart deal. Kudos to Alex and Mark. 1.5. I actually think if they put the Wolves on the market right now, they would fetch north of $3 billion.
Isn't that
they might, yeah.
wild,
There's enough
dude?
of a thirst for NBA ownership, not necessarily MLB ownership, although, news in the last 24 hours with the Tampa Bay Rays. But I'm just saying NBA ownership, I think they'd get minimum 3.5. I really do.
The TV rights alone that are going to kick in
Correct.
next year
Plus
drives that
expansion
price way
fees
up.
coming in the next handful of years.
Yes.
I'm just telling you.
And what is
north of 3?
What is the fee now going to be? Let's just say that it's going to be Seattle and or Vegas.
$6 billion.
Yeah, because when you look at what the Lakers are selling for, and that's a heritage franchise, I totally get it. But still, it is crazy. But this again goes back to, and it doesn't appear that the NBA is going to close the loophole. I'll never understand why you can sell the team and then say, yeah, pay me in installments. Because it looks worse now. If the team had just been sold flat out in 2021, right? Yeah, that's a decent price, but we could say, well, that's a 2021 price. And it was, but now it looks worse. So that to me is one of the silliest things I've ever seen, which is it's going to be several years and it's in installments. These franchises are worth what they're worth right now. It's not like a person comes along and says, I need some more time to pay those. You know what? It's like a rent. I'll pay you once a month. They ain't me.
I will also say, it's a foregone conclusion. The Board of Governors is going to approve Mark and Alex. They need 75% of the vote. That is going to happen. Now, might Glenn get a vote or two? He's tight with Simon, the Pacers governor. Yeah, Glenn might have maybe one vote in his back pocket. But, they're going to get the 75%. And, hey, that's a good report, Phil. Good knowledge on things ramping up this week. But, truth be told, Alex and Mark have been working behind the scenes for a while, right? Just to garner whatever it is, positivity, interest, all that, connecting with other governors/owners, just so people get to know them. That's been an ongoing process. But good info on things ramping up. And, yeah, they don't need to wait until the July Board of Governors meeting in Vegas during Summer League. They can vote electronically. They can vote, whether it's tomorrow, if the finals end tonight, or into next week right before the draft, Monday, Tuesday, or maybe it's right after the draft. But, yeah, it's coming pretty darn fast.
Yeah, how does that voting process? Does Silver just send a text message to, okay, do they all try to hop on a Zoom call at the same time? Is there an online
I'm not
portal?
exactly sure. Yeah, I don't know if it's a Microsoft
NBAownervote.org
something like that.
Timberwolves.
But yeah, they can certainly vote electronically. That's very possible. They don't need to gather in person for this vote. So yeah, it'll be good news for Mark and Alex pretty darn quick here.
Yeah. I have one more thing for you guys and Dukes. It is NBA mock draft season, and the Wolves do have the 17th and 31st overall pick until and or unless they trade it. And I'm looking at the ESPN.com latest mock draft, but this echoes a few of the ones I've seen lately, where if the Wolves stick and pick at 17, the name that is commonly popping up here is the Georgetown 6'10", 6'11" big man, Thomas Sorber. So he was a freshman last year at Georgetown. I think he's 20 years old, but or is he 19 years old now, going to turn 20? But he was, he played 24 games at Georgetown last year, 14.5 points, 9 rebounds, 2.5 assists, also 2 blocks per game, a steal and a half per game, Not the rangiest guy, but a guy that can do some damage underneath as maybe a replacement for a Rudy Gobert at some point. So yeah, his standing reach is 9'1" with a 7'6" wingspan. He's 262 pounds. He had a foot surgery in February, and he hasn't partaken in basketball activities, so that could actually drive his value a little further down. But just something to watch, that if they do stick and pick at 17, Doogs, maybe drafting a successor immediately or long-term for Rudy Gobert could be on the table for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I mean, going bigger makes sense, right? Last year you end up with a wing and a point guard. So going bigger, whether that's somebody that can play a lot of 4, maybe guard some 3s, or has 4/5 flexibility, or a true 5 like Sorber. Like, credit to him. Like, entering the college basketball season, he was not viewed as a one and done. So it's a credit to him for his stock rising the way it has. Now, the foot surgery in February would make me pause. I will also say, you run this by the Matt Babcocks of the world, the Jonathan Wassermans, Jonathan Givony, you name the draft expert, somebody that follows this 12 months a year. There really isn't much difference between picks 17 and 31. There's not much difference between picks 10 and 31. Like, if we could see every team's draft board, I guarantee there would be so much difference after the top 5/7 guys. So, like, is there any chance the Maryland center, maybe this is Big Ten bias being here in Big Ten country, but like Derek Queen, I don't think he'll be there at 17, but he would be highly intriguing.
I mean, would you package and move up like they did last year? Take the 31, the 17, and climb up the ladder a little closer.
Well,
to
and
10?
remember, it's a 2-day draft. I don't know. Does 31 having the first pick of the second day, does that hold all sorts of intrigue like it would in the NFL? Maybe not quite to that extent.
It might for Tim Connolly a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's willing to move down. Although, as I said, if there's not much difference between 10 and 17, could you get as high as 10, 11, 12? Take Derek Queen. Asa Newell, the big man from Georgia, more a 4, not a 5. But like, I was looking at his numbers, 75% free throw shooter, tells me he's got touch. Like, he didn't take many threes at Georgia, but I wonder if that range can be expanded. Like, he was always a one and done. He was in recently for a workout. They've done a lot of homework on him. Like, he could be there at 17. So a guy like that could make all sorts of sense. My own opinion after watching, now this was 2 years ago. I was at the Creighton Marquette game at Fiserv in Milwaukee, but watching Ryan Kalkbrenner doesn't do anything for me. Too soft.
Oh, wow.
I thought you were going to come with a sterling scouting report. You ripped a kid.
I watched a few Creighton games too, and I mean, I don't know how
the
it
production
translates.
is there, and if he's there at
skilled.
31, he is skilled. So if he falls to 31, I would consider him. I'm not taking him at 17. People have asked me that. I would not.
No,
I would not take Kalkbrenner at 17.
NBADraft.net, and you're right. Like, you could at any given mock draft has a guy going 12 that might go 25 later, but Ryan Kalkbrenner, early second round projection right now, so he'd maybe be more in play for that 31st. He's going to Charlotte right now at 33 on just one of many different NBA mock drafts. So
Doogie beating the bushes on the scouting trail is, I think, a hidden part of this show. Like, you are driving around in your car. You're like an old school basketball guy, cigar in hand.
December of 23. That's exactly why I drove all the way to Milwaukee.
Yeah, okay, this kid,
soft. On Ryan Kalkbrenner, yes.
SAWFT, soft. Dukes, give us one more Wolves or basketball thing for the road here before we part ways.
So there's a draft workout today. I read the text message wrong, thought it was the 18th, but it's the 19th with Janai Broom of Auburn, Curtis Jones of Iowa State from Cretin-Durham Hall, some other players. The Wolves did publicly announce their Monday draft workout, so I anticipate the Wolves will publicly announce this one. Don't know why they didn't publicly announce some of the workouts going back a few weeks, but the fact they publicly announced Mondays, I don't know why they wouldn't publicly announce today. So the draft work continues. Also, the Wolves have a June 30th full guarantee date approaching on Leonard Miller. Somebody close to Miller texted, I know they like Miller. And the number isn't crazy. I get it. Like, maybe we thought by now Leonard Miller could have cracked the rotation, but the number to me is low enough. What is it? I don't have it in front of me, Phil. I don't know if you have it handy. The Leonard Miller.
It's like 2.5.
25, 26 number. 2-1, 2-2.
Here, let's
2
pull up
million.
the spreadsheet of glory here. It's 2.25 $2.2 million this year, which is guaranteed, and then $2.4 million team option in 2026-27.
Okay, so
right?
that date is what, approaching June 30th. So for what it's worth, somebody said, hey, I know they like Miller. But what exactly does that mean? Who knows?
They need bigs, so you might as well keep him around for 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you keep him at that number? So, yeah, we've been waiting for him to take that next step, but I don't see why you would cut the cord on Leonard Miller.
Yeah. When's Cooper Flagg going to work out here? Is he going to come to a workout for the team? Probably not going to.
You know what?
Cooper.
Credit to Dallas. Whatever happens with my guy Sean Sweeney, because there's some San Antonio interest, still upset he didn't get the Phoenix Suns job, but that's not a bad situation there in Dallas. Even with the Kyrie injury, they can find a
brilliant front office.
I wouldn't want the
Dallas,
Suns job too. Sean might have lucked out
fired
there.
in a year.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that Suns job. Nuh-uh.
I don't know. I don't know. On Ishbia, is there some patience?
No.
Or is he capable of, if Phoenix wins 24 games next year?
No.
Okay, Jordan, you're out. One and done. I'd like to think there's going to be some level of patience.
Not to this point.
What do you have to
They had
base
4
that on?
coaches.
Yeah. How many coaches is he paying right now?
It's, I think, at least 3, maybe 4.
Yeah, I think.
He's definitely paying
Monty
Bud,
Williams.
right? Monty Williams
And
still
Bud.
getting paid.
Frank
And then
Vogel.
and Vogel still getting paid?
Probably.
Vogel still getting paid?
They've had a new coach every year he's been there.
Yeah.
I mean, the White Sox going to have a
You
new
might be
manager every
right.
year in 4 years here.
Yeah.
ESPN's,
And it
man.
could have been the Twins.
It could have been
Yeah.
the Twins.
Yeah. So,
All right, boys.
Doogie Wolfson.
See you, Dukes.
Thanks, dude.
All right, dude.
Take it easy, gentlemen. See ya.
We'll talk soon. And we'll be back with some Feedback Friday tomorrow here on Flagrant Howls, your favorite Timberwolves lifestyle podcast. See you guys.